Hare Krishna. The mind is a great storyteller, but what it tells are stories, not realities. Some people are excellent storytellers, and when they start telling a story, they start narrating it, describing it with such animation, with such emotion that we get completely lost in it. Now, that is telling stories nicely is a valuable skill to have. But just because somebody can tell stories very nicely doesn't necessarily mean that the stories that they are telling are realities. Some people might just be telling fantasy. Somebody may tell that I went here and I did this and I did that, and actually they may not done that at all. They may just be telling something as a story. So the expertise of narrating a story does not determine the veracity of the story, whether it is for real or not. Now, with respect to people externally, if they tell us some story in a very attractive way and later on we find out from some other sources that actually what they said is not true, then next time when they start telling stories, we won't believe it immediately. We will evaluate it carefully. Similarly, our mind internally is like a storyteller, and it's a great storyteller. We might see one sight, we may see some attractive object, and the mind immediately starts spinning a story. Hey, if you eat this, if you touch this, if you do this, you will enjoy so much. And you can enjoy like this, and you can enjoy like that, and you can enjoy like that. So it may tell a story of great pleasure, or it may tell a story of great trouble also. Now we get something which looks like a bad news. We get some small swelling on our hand, and the mind starts saying, hey, you may have cancer. If you have cancer, you may just die in 6 months. If you die in 6 months, what is going to happen to you? And many times if we see, when we get worked up with emotions, it is not because of the events that have happened externally, it is because of the stories that our mind has told using that event as a starting point. So when we recognize that the mind is telling us stories that are destructive, that are damaging, then we can resist its stories. And especially the mind that is contaminated by the mode of ignorance, it just very relentlessly keeps telling us negative stories. And we need to relentlessly resist hearing those stories or getting absorbed in those stories, or especially believing those stories, thinking them to be realities. In 18th chapter, 35th verse, Krishna talks about the mind that is afflicted by ignorance. He says determination in the mode of ignorance means ya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madamevacha na vimunchati durmedha dhruti sa partha tamasi. That is that daydreaming, becoming fearful, becoming morose, becoming depressed. All these are stories that the mind tells us, and we have to strongly interrupt and reject the stories of the mind. And the best way to do it is by being a part of a story that is told by some higher power, by Krishna. If you understand by regularly hearing from scripture that we are parts of Krishna and we are meant to serve him, then we can move forward purposefully in our service to him, and thus avoid getting overwhelmed by the negativities of the mind stories. So when we have a positive, purposeful, joyful story of which we are a part of, in which we are absorbed, then we can evaluate the mind stories and not believe them as realities, but respond appropriately to them. Thank you. Hare Krishna.